Hello, hello. How's it going? Yep, I'm just gonna lower the music a little bit. All right, so what's going on with you, Adam? Yeah, I can see you. Just I think I'll need to Ooh. Making me jelly. Yeah, you can all claim them. And I think Horizon Zero Dawn with all the DLCs coming very soon. April 19th? Okay. That's awesome. Hey, we got Aaron. How's it going? Excellent. You're not hearing anything? Awesome. And JD was coming today, right? I think. Yeah, and on Thursday he did the waypoint, and he was on there. JD3MXP, so JD is the other member of the panel. So we're a panel of 3. No problem. Okay. All right, I'm gonna turn on my LEDs. That works. I'm using it because it works well for because I'm doing like different captures for everyone in the panel, just capturing like that small part of the screen and putting it on the OBS, and Google Meet works really well for that. So it's one of the most stable option, much better than Microsoft Teams. Yeah, Teams is a disaster. But But I think the problem with Skype is probably a security feature because it's also used for a lot of confidential meetings, and also like even the Department of Defense over here, that's what we use for Microsoft Teams. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a security issue that they have with it. Mhm. Mhm. So there's 2 minutes remaining. I've put a timer on there until we go live. JD says he's coming. Evo slept because he's still healing from the surgery. Oh, he's there. Hello there. Good to see you. Nice. You actually got 3 hernia. the same time. Sorry about this. So, how's it going, everyone? So, hold on. I think I've got a problem with your audio, guys. For some reason, it's not going through, and it was earlier. My apologies about this. Still in construction, but it should be coming all in place. Yeah, that's the right one. My apology. Okay, I think I'll just switch that to. Once more, my apologies. Why isn't it letting me select the output? I'm sorry, everyone in the public. This is part of the reality of live TV shows. Yep. Speaker is blocked. Okay, we were saying a moment ago that Google Meet works so well for this, and now it's no longer letting me choose the output source. And page unresponsive. Come on, don't do this. Sorry about this, everyone in the chat. Yep, lol, it happens. So I might have to. Oh, there! Finally, I got a list. So I'll put it here. If it'll let me select. It's super slow. I'm sorry about this struggle.
Holtz, what up? Chariot Man, what's up? Shoes Gaming, what's up? Welcome, welcome.
Now I need to hear you guys. The public should be hearing you, but I'm not.
All right.
Hold on.
They don't want us to speak on PlayStation
I'm
News.
the only one who's not hearing you guys for very obvious reasons that I'm trying to fix.
So yeah, I've gone for the noob portrait angle on the
Why does
camera
it
here.
not
Sorry
let me
about
select
that.
Nice.
It's funny whenever you watch the news and they've got somebody's footage that they've taken with their camera, they always take it with the old with the portrait. You think, no, turn it round. That's not how it works on TV.
Right.
I swear I've tested this yesterday and was working very well and was glad I finally got it working. And now it's going haywire.
It's always the way. Well, we can hear you.
Gotta love
it. Yeah, we can hear you for sure.
Aaron's gone inside the Death Star now, haven't you?
Okay, this should work. There's an echo now. But here's what I can do. These even have a headphone jack? No, but I got other headphones.
headphone jack. What is that?
I know. What is that? What's going on with the headphones?
I don't even have one of those on my phone. I got to use USB-C adapters. I guess I will say at least I don't have an iPhone where they don't provide you a charger anymore.
Oh yeah! Wow.
And now we're back in business.
There we go.
All of this.
We can hear you.
Nice.
Excellent. So, how is everyone doing? Finally getting this show going, even though I can hear my echo, but I cannot go around this. Yes, I can do this. And shut this off. And everyone should be hearing both myself and everyone here.
Woo, woo, woo.
Nice.
Excellent.
Finally.
So we got this panel going finally. Second week in a row that we got some technical issues, but we're starting to get this together finally. So this is Cloud Station TV. We have some magnificent guests here. So, Rokk, why don't you start by introducing yourself?
Wow, thank you. Thanks for inviting me, by the way. I think this is the first time I've been invited to a show that isn't Stadia related, so it's quite exciting. So I'm Rokk, and obviously, as I just mentioned, I'm mainly known for my Stadia content, but I've pretty much got my hands on every platform going, including the PlayStation, which actually was the first console that I ever owned, the PS3, and still takes pride of place. I've got the PS5, as I just flipped around and showed you guys a second ago. So I'm really excited to be on the show, and thanks for asking me.
Thanks for coming. And also, I got my other two co-hosts returning from last week. So, Stadia Vet, want to say a word about yourself?
Most of you guys know me, Stadia Big Gaming. I'm doing some crazy stuff in Stadia related games, whether it's Red Dead, Ghost Recon, or any other game that I play. But I'm also doing nightly shows now on PlayStation Now. And the last one I did was not last night, but the night before was I started Injustice 2, and I got really hyped in that one because those are the games where they're like, it's like watching a movie when you do the campaign or single player, whatever it's called. And it's super fun to watch that and reading the chat, and people are saying that they're getting more hyped than I am. And I don't even know how that's possible half the time.
Awesome. And what about JD yourself? A little introduction.
Hey, so it's JD3MXP, and you guys know me from the Waypoint Gaming Podcast and also on the Stadia Bash Community Network doing the Friday night fights last night. It was really good. And yeah, got my PS5 in finally. So I'm going to run PS Now through its paces. And I was streaming PS Now before I went into surgery this week and had a couple people show up into the chat and was impressed, and they gave it a try.
Nice. And we even did a virtual fight or two, few matches there.
Yeah, we sure did.
I
That
did
was
watch
fun.
that one.
Yeah. It was really fun, really fun. So everybody
Actually-
can see it really works.
Actually worked really well considering the age the game has, and it's a pretty old game. We connected online and went super fluid. It was fun. So that is great. So now I just got a few questions for Rokk. I don't know if you went through what I sent you. So
I did, yeah.
yeah. So first question I've got for you is, what is your background for PlayStation gaming? I know you mentioned that you first got your PlayStation 3 as your first console. So
Yeah, so I used to, I mean, mainly I was a PC stroke Mac gamer. Although I go way back to the Commodore 64 and the Texas TI 994A and the ZX Spectrum and all that kind of really old school stuff. But I skipped the whole Nintendo Sega generation. So I was kind of PC gaming around then. And then I just got bored doing it in the bedroom on my own. I felt really lonely. So I bought a PS3 so I could have it in the front room and watch it on the telly. The PS3 still exists, actually. I gave it to my brother. I think he took it straight to the loft, and it's probably still there. But so I've been at PlayStation. I've got two PS4 Pros, and I've got a PS5. And one of the PS4 Pros is going to get sold soon, so it's going to a new home, like those rescue dogs. So that's going to be good. And I have played just hundreds of games. Most of my games have been on PlayStation because until recently I used to rent games. So I would, like you used to be able to do with Blockbuster with movies. So I would rent a game, all the latest games, play them for 2 or 3 weeks, send it back, get another one. So yeah, just ripped through. And even now, and I also own an Xbox Series X, but even now I still prefer the interface, the controller, the whole experience for me is just the right years ahead of any other console.
nice. So yeah, it's very similar. Well, I've been in the consoles before that, but one of the first consoles I owned that I really got passionate about was the first PlayStation. So, bit similar story. I've been gaming a lot on the PlayStation environment, so that's nice. And what about PlayStation now? How has your experience been with that? Have you been using PlayStation now a lot?
Yeah,
Or
absolutely. You know from Twitter, I mentioned it a few weeks ago because it has been, it's one of those things. They were, without a shadow of a doubt, PlayStation was one of the first companies to try out the whole cloud gaming scenario. They're sort of forgotten for the work they did some years ago. So it's been around PlayStation now for quite some time. And of course, initially it wasn't a great experience because they've had technology has had to catch up with cloud gaming. So a lot
yeah.
of people that tried it in the early days, it wasn't a very great experience. It was kind of 720 if you were lucky. It was very wishy-washy. It was very laggy, but there was a load of content on there, albeit oldish games. They were always a generation or two generations behind. I experimented with it in the past because I loved and have always loved the concept of cloud gaming. The instant access to games, no matter what hardware you've got, etc. But then over the last 12 months, I think I took a subscription out for PS Now about 6, 7 months ago. And then literally around November, it just exploded. So just in time for the release of the next gen consoles, Sony were very clearly gearing up. Although, as you know, Sony, as opposed to anybody else, are very quiet about what they do. You just kind of go there and realize that they've boosted it. So, oh, hello, you
Mhm.
didn't say anything. I know, but it's great, isn't it?
They
And
still
now
haven't
it's
said anything.
no, they haven't, and yet we all know it's now 1080p. It's very crisp. It's as good as GeForce Now. I mean, okay, you may not have ray tracing because the PS4s didn't have ray tracing, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, it looks amazing. Um, and of course, the library of games is just phenomenal. Somewhere between 700 and 800 games, instantly accessible, and that flies in the face of what Microsoft are doing because Microsoft, of course, although they have xCloud with 100, 150 games, you can't play xCloud on any of their consoles, which to me is a real shame. I want to be able to play cloud on my consoles as much as other people think it's purely for mobile phones or tablets. I'm not interested in cloud gaming on mobile. I want a cloud game where I game.
Mhm.
And right now, PlayStation is the only place you can do that. Switch have, I think, 4 games that you can play with to see what their cloud gaming, what their aspirations are. They're the usual ones, Control and Assassin's Creed and stuff. But PlayStation is the only place where not only can you access a vast library of games, but those games, most of them can be downloaded as well and played if you want to at the original resolution of the original game. So, they're scoring big points.
They have a very unique
Yeah.
approach that wins a lot of points on there. Yeah, it's very interesting to see how they're doing it. Was JD, you had something to say on this, or?
Oh
He
no, I
was
was just
whooping. He
agreeing
was
with
just
you.
punching the air.
I
He
was,
was, yeah, whoop, I'm with you.
that's a solid point. He's making he's making solid points that PlayStation has been doing it for a long time. They're the only platform where you can play it on their console. Like you said, if you want to have that home theater assistant, you can play it there. And yeah, yeah, really good
And
points.
and
Yeah,
Adam,
I think Microsoft has it's set back a little bit compared to PlayStation now because like you said, you can't xCloud's a thing, but it's locked right now on mobile phones. You can't do any of it on your console. But I have heard the reports that even Stadia works on the so Stadia works on the on Xboxes on the new ones with the new browser. So I'm just like that it's not a good sign when your own service doesn't work on it, but you can get competitors to work. But the shoe goes the same way with Google and the
Google
Chromecast,
TV.
the new Chromecast. You can literally use every platform. I've used
mhm.
PlayStation and all those. The only downside is PlayStation Now, just because they don't have a PlayStation Now Android app. Now, when that happens, That's a game.
Yeah.
That'll be another game changer because
I
then you
don't
can
think
really,
it'll be long before it happens also.
Yeah.
So, because PlayStation Now used to be available on a bunch of platforms. It was on the Vita, it was on the Bravia TVs, but the thing that happens, all these were not adapted for HD cloud gaming. It worked when PlayStation Now was in 720p, but you had a certain latency to it, and it was really like muddy graphics. But now that 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi technology is available everywhere on every mobile phone, tablets, and all that, I believe the reason they pulled it is because the old technology was not proper for HD cloud gaming, and now every cell phone out there is really ready to do that. So they're
Yeah.
on the verge, I'm pretty sure, to redeploy a more accessible cloud gaming platform for PlayStation. So that is coming, I'm pretty sure.
Did you have another question for me, Seb? I think there was.
Yeah, there's a third question. Basically, where do you see PlayStation go from here in the world of cloud gaming?
So I think firstly, I thought there would have been an even bigger boost to the service at the launch of the next gen consoles, and I know a couple of guys that are really thick with Sony were sort of hinting at this. Without knowing, my feeling is the next generation of PS Now, which I think is going to be soon, will be that they will release games, certainly exclusives for PlayStation, will also be available on PS Now. So if you purchase, for example, the new Horizon Zero Dawn, you will also have an option to play it on PS Now as well. That's my guess. Now that is literally a game changer. That puts them right there at the apex of console gaming, because straight away, if whatever the latest game you buy, if you don't want, and let's face it, if you bought one of the version of the PS5 without the drive, for example, yeah, you can download the digital game, but it's going to fill your hard drive in no time. So to be able to say from now on you can play the new Horizon Zero Dawn on PS Now if you own a license for it, that just puts them in a different place, and they're set to do that. Of course, an upgrade eventually from PS4 blades to PS5 blades, so that we get all the next gen speeds and ray tracing and so on. That's got to be on the cards this year. But I think that that's what they're gearing up for, so that there's almost a blurred line between a physical disc or even a digital download and the version of the game in the cloud. So you have those three service options. And that's what I've been really waiting for. Talk about day and date. Every single game that comes to PlayStation that is a PlayStation exclusive, because, and potentially not, will also be available through the PS Now, or potentially play at home, or whatever they want to roll it out under. So I think that's what we've got to look forward to. I still think Microsoft will get there, but they don't seem, at this moment in time, I feel that what they're trying to do is exhaust all the sales of the consoles. Just push the hardware as hard as they can,
Mhm.
and they're not too worried about
Very
cloud
good.
being a serious contender. Whereas I think Sony absolutely are. And you were saying the other day, Seb, Sony have now changed the provider for the infrastructure behind all of this.
Mm-hmm.
They're really going for it.
They're actually, apparently it's still on, because they done a deal with Azure a while ago, Microsoft Azure,
Mhm.
and apparently it's still going through Azure, but through a different third party. Basically, they just did a heavy investment in Ubitus, which is a company that actually provides the service for the Nintendo Switch for cloud gaming. So they just made a large investment in that company alongside Tencent and Square Enix. So that'll be extremely interesting to see how it plays out. But I think that stems from a lot of things that we're seeing right now, that it's a bit dangerous to see, like to make a connection. But also, not too long ago, Jade Raymond just announced that she's opening a studio, an independent studio that's collaborating with PlayStation, and she has a deal with them to make games for them. And Jade Raymond got out of Google Stadia like really early in the year, but I'm fairly sure that she saw what was going to happen coming. And while she's not allowed
Yeah.
to basically reveal anything that she got from Stadia when she was working at Stadia, anything, any insight she got from other companies, it's her knowledge. It's not really giving a disadvantage to Stadia if she shares that information. So I'm
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to hear that, seeing how like they were not hiring anyone else, because it was supposed to be at this moment around 2,000 people in the SGNU studio, and they were still froze at 150 employees. That it froze down at that point when the pandemic started. They didn't want to hire anyone else until everything calmed down. So once she saw that they were not hiring, I wouldn't be surprised that she called Sony and made some connection and said, "Look, if you make a deal with that company, you'll be able to increase your the quality of your service, and do this and that and that, and I'll come do a studio and make game for you guys." And she probably did a deal like that. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, she
But
was on the board at Stadia, so she knew what was happening at a seaboard level. So she'd have seen it coming some miles away.
mhm,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah. So, and also you were wondering, you were talking earlier about you're surprised of not seeing a bigger push for PlayStation now when the new generation of console came out. I'll just share on the screen here. You guys will see it if you're looking at the YouTube channel. It's actually JD that found this article from GQ. That's a interview with Jim Ryan back in November, right around when he actually found out that PlayStation Now was in 1080p. And if we go lower in the article, was right here. So they're talking about like the future of PlayStation Now. And he stated PlayStation Now and Plus are very important to us today. This year, we're just trying to keep it focused on PlayStation 5 and the games. But that doesn't mean we're thinking deeply about our services and figure out some quite interesting stuff that will get its own moment in the limelight. So right now, why we're not seeing a bigger push for PlayStation Now is because their focus is on the console that they're releasing at the moment. But they already got some stuff moving for PlayStation Now. So so it might be this year, it might be soon next year. There is something coming for PlayStation Now, but I think it'll be much earlier than what this article is leading on.
And of
So
course, you know,
Well, and
the other sorry, Aaron, just quickly, the other
oh no,
connection with Jade Raymond is that we know that Stadia are very keen to license their technology to third parties, and you know,
true.
I could almost envisage a sort of a deal being done with Jade Raymond as the um, arbiter, as the conduit, wherein they say, guys, why don't you use our 4K HDR 5.1 cloud-based setup for your cloud-based gaming service? You know, so
mhm.
you could see any of these things, any of these quantum connections. You could imagine them coming.
That's the magic of cloud gaming. It can go so
Yeah.
fast. It can turn
Well,
around on a dime.
and Sony has a really good history of not leaking anything. I mean, minus their server going down. That's about the biggest news that usually you find out. But like things like this, they don't say anything. So we really, I mean, we can speculate all day long. And I think that's one thing that drew me to play back to PlayStation Now was because I don't see these things. I kind of like just being surprised and then just dropping this stuff and it wows me that way instead of information getting leaked out like with Stadia has a tendency to do.
Mhm.
So it definitely it doesn't surprise me when Sony drops updates things does all these behind the scenes stuff because that's just what they do.
They've always been
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They keep their hand close to the chest. So now we're gonna move on to some news that have been going around basically this last week and a half around Sony, because when I had the idea for this channel and I reached around, I wasn't so sure if we were going to do a weekly show or a monthly show, seeing as PlayStation Now is still pretty much, it was on the back burner. but
Mhm.
things have been moving fast, really fast. So this one is not really cloud related, but I'll just put it on the screen. There is a bunch of games you can now claim for free, part of the Play at Home program. So I got them on the screen here. So there's Resco, Abzu, The Witness, Enter the Gungeons, Subnautica, Moss, Astrobot, Rescue Mission, Paper Beast, and Thumper. So those are all games that you can claim, even if you don't have a PlayStation. If you have a PlayStation account, like you can even create one just for that. You can go on the PlayStation app and go in the store and just claim them for free. No PlayStation Plus or PlayStation Now subscription required. So they're literally giving away free games like Epic is doing, which is really interesting. So
Well, and isn't getting the games from the mobile app a new feature? Because I don't remember you could being able to
It
do
is a new
that.
feature.
You
Yeah.
could I used to do it all the time for a while. At least since the PS4 days, I would
Okay.
get them from the app. Yeah.
you can even remote install your games. So if you're at work and I want to play that tonight, just go on your phone, click the
Yeah,
game,
you-
and install it on your PS4 or PS5.
Yep.
So that's pretty awesome.
And of course, also Horizon Zero Dawn, the Ultimate Edition, which
Yep.
has been on PS Now. Well, certainly, it was part of this sort of PlayStation Hits package that you could get if you had a PS Plus account, and they're releasing that as well on April 19th under the same under this same deal. And that, I mean, my favorite game of all time, Horizon Zero Dawn, absolutely amazing deal. And that's the Ultimate Edition. So that includes the
Yeah.
DLCs as
Yeah.
well, which are also fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a really fantastic game. It's what I've been playing lately on PlayStation Now. If you don't know what it is, it kind of gives you a vibe of what's the Legend Breath of the Wild game on the Switch from the Legend of Zelda series, but it's got a weird
interesting.
post-apocalyptic techno feel to it.
Yep.
It's the
My-
setting is amazing. It's a
I
really good
love
game.
it. I love that game.
I might have to try that one.
Yeah.
It's
There's too many
gorgeous and
choices.
it's fun.
That's my problem with PS Now is there's so many choices of games that I haven't played over the years that I don't I get lost.
It's also an amazing story. I mean, no spoilers, but when you get deep into the game and it starts to reveal the story behind it, it's unique. I
Yeah.
love science fiction, and you know the twist and the story with it is like I've never seen anything like that before. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, the lore is really, really good.
Yeah.
It's really, especially if you're a science fiction type guy or you like Terminators or something like that, like you'll fit right in.
Yeah,
And the
super.
story ain't over. They're releasing the second one on PS5 and PS4 as well, I think.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, the second one
So,
is went out this year, I think. PS5 or
Yeah.
I know Anthony and now your mom has posted a comment in the chat said why aren't people asking Sony to be vocal and plead with them to give out info? Got any thoughts on that one?
They reveal things when they're ready to reveal them. They're not like we're seeing two schools right now. Like there's Xbox going around saying all kind of stuff, but a small portion of what Phil Spencer says for Xbox, like he goes and declares some stuff, and then a few weeks later, it's not a reality anymore. So I'm not really a fan of that way of doing things. While Sony keeps everything to the chest and is able to turn around on their decisions, plan all sorts of stuff, and when they have finally something ready to deliver, they deliver it. So
Right. And I think for me, I think it's they sit and watch. We know that because they've obviously been working on getting the 1080p running perfectly, beautifully, or and 100%. So you can't tell me that they haven't. And they watch. They've watched what Google's been doing. They've watched what Sony, what Amazon's been doing, and they learn. It's
put dirty pants on him.
He put them on from the bathroom. And then it's like the same thing. They watch everybody and they learn and then they do what they do. And that's when they're ready to drop stuff. Because I hear people say all the time, well, PlayStation Now is never going to compete with all these others. It's the same thing. I look at it as the same as with Stadia. Like neither one of them are just going to drop out of the cloud gaming race. the gaming industry itself is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and Sony's been around for ever.
Yeah.
So for them to not play the smart way, this is exactly this is the smartest way. Don't release your information until you are ready to, and when you are ready to drop some information, this is what happens. They just come out with a home run hit.
Yeah, Jim Ryan said the same thing, and I think it was the same interview where he said when he took a shot at Cyberpunk developers for releasing the game in the state that it was, and he said in the interview that said, "Hey, we're going to release our games. We're going to make the hard decisions and release things when it's ready to be released." And the other thing with the cloud game, I'm trying to remember, he said real quick, when Horizon came to PC, they was looking at their fan base and seeing how their fan base was reacting. It was a question they asked him, and he said, we put it out there. We put a couple of games on PC to see the kind of the crowd reaction, because they don't want to do what Xbox did with how they did with the Gold and raise their prices, and then they have to backtrack on it. Sony
that was
yeah.
Well, and Anthony clarified, because I was keeping an eye on the chat, and he said, no, what he means is people will bash Stadia because they won't give a play-by-play, but they don't hear anybody pressuring Sony for PS Now info. So I get it. Like I don't know. Maybe that's just a Google thing. I really don't know why they don't speak up about PS Now, but they don't hesitate to go after Google. And like I said, I think it's because it's Google. That's why. Sony's established in the gaming industry. Google is just getting into it,
and it's Japanese business culture anyway. They're very subdued, very sort of subtle in everything they do in Japanese business culture. So it's not their thing to just blow trumpets. Whereas, no disrespect, love you guys, but it is what you do in America. So you kind of expect it from Microsoft.
The same thing.
But also
the same thing.
One of the things we have to consider also is that Sony with PlayStation has been there for a while. They've been making their proofs for a very long time. They have their fan base. They have a large amount of games. Like, even if things would get slower for PlayStation, there's so much content that cannot get through it all. While Stadia, on the other hand, is a brand new platform, and there's a lot of naysayer about that platform and a lot of people in doubt. I personally love it. I started content creation with Stadia, and I still love Stadia and still play it, and I still make content on it. But Stadia is still brand new in the market, and there is still a lot of people who are in doubt for the future of the platform. And when they stop announcing stuff, it puts a lot of doubt in people's mind as to what is going on. And then you got SG&E that for a long time there was nothing even teased. Like, it'll happen sometime that Sony will actually welcome teams to show the PlayStation studios, the first party studios, even though they had just shut down one, but they will show what is going on in their own studios. They'll open the doors. Stadia was dead silent on their first party studio, and it ended up shutting down. So I feel like a lot of people feel the need to have more information to know if they're safe of investing in Stadia and buying their games there or not. So I think that's where the feel kind of stems from. But and why
and
so
to go on to go off of what Rokk said, about the culture. I mean, look at Nintendo. Nintendo's the exact same way. They don't leak. I mean, when the prime example was with the Switch, nobody knew what they were cooking up behind the scenes. And even, I remember chatting with people at GameStop, and even they said the Nintendo reps that would come in, they didn't even know what was going on. Like, Nintendo literally did not tell anybody. So I think it is. It's that culture thing. And, and I agree with Rokk, because I was thinking the exact same thing right before he said it. Was, Google, Microsoft, that's, they're American based, and that's what they love to do, is just blab stuff out. It's the American way of doing it. So.
I think as well, it's Stadia. I mean, Stadia have got a lot to prove and a lot of mistakes to make, and they know that. So it's been important for them to try. They don't want to upset. They're building lots of relationships and partnerships with studios, developers, and now with other, potentially other cloud gaming platforms as well. So what they don't want to kind of shoot their bolt before they've had those conversations. Well, Sony is in a mature spot. It is
Yeah.
at the top of the console game tree. They can take their time to get it right because they've got the base in place. They know that they've got the revenue being generated. Stadia have got to be really clever and really, sort of think through really hard everything they say, because as we've seen, it takes one mistake or one badly worded news item, and the whole world's ready to collapse on top of Google. So, I totally understand where Stadia is coming from. I personally have never been one to, bash them for not coming out with any information, because being in business, I know what they have to do. But I think you've got that. I think, as well as we've said, you've got the Japanese culture. Although, of course, Sony has its divisions around the world that have a large say in what goes on within each of those territories, but ultimately they still have the big Japanese boss, the big HQ, that undoubtedly emanates its culture across the whole globe.
Even the
Yeah.
architect behind the console, Mark Cerny, he's actually from UK, I think. Either UK or American, but I believe he's from UK. He's the one who designed he's the engineer behind the PS4 and
I think
PS5.
I think he's
Yeah,
British.
yeah.
He's been
Yeah,
with
yeah.
him since the first PlayStation. He's actually the one responsible for most of Sony's first party studios. He actually was
Yeah.
working for, I believe it's Universal Studios, and he convinced them to make a large investment in billions of dollars for multimedia. And they never told him what exactly it was going to be. And Universal back then, it's like in the mid 1990s, they saw like the internet happening and all that. It's like, oh, he's going to do an internet platform for us, and not knowing what was possible or not possible. It's like, okay, you have the money, do whatever you want with it. It's a good investment in our future. And he took that money and started acquiring game studios that were out there already making games, like Naughty Dogs and a few other studios.
Oh, I remember. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
that
And he
studio.
he started buying those studios and got his hand finally on a PlayStation 1 prototype that he actually got from someone in Japan. Worked a lot at getting it, and he got a lot of no's until eventually he met the right person that said, okay, well, I'll send you a few kits. I think he got like 10 PS1s and distributed them among the studios that he made the acquisition of with a universal investment. And there came a bunch of games like, I believe Crash Bandicoot was through that.
Crash
I'm not.
Bandicoot. Yep, yep.
Yeah,
It was.
and Spyro the Dragon, who had like Elijah Wood and Ian McKellen and a few great actors, were doing
Yeah.
the voice for it.
Yeah.
That was all through Universal. And when they discovered what he was making, that he was making video game studios, and they was pretty far along, they had lost a lot of money in there. And Universal didn't want to make video games. For them, it's like they're more old school.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of like, okay, we see what you did there. And it's like they were embarrassed by allowing him to do so much without keeping a tab on what he was doing. So they went like, okay, try to find a deal with Sony. Like, we're going to do a sell. We want to separate ourselves from that. So that's why Sony actually got all those first party studios created for a very low amount of money.
Yeah.
So he actually got that from
Yeah.
Universal Studio. So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that story. Yeah, that was an interesting story, and just goes to show where just knowing, just investing in the future, how Sony has always been invested with this into the future. Even with CDs, with the PlayStation 1, when Sony went to Nintendo and they tried to have that joint system made, and Nintendo had their own, and
Yeah.
Sony's like, well,
The,
we're
the,
gonna go ahead
the
and do
Nintendo PlayStation.
it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that
The
would have been,
infamous one.
yeah, the infamous one, and the one that started the whole thing. And ever since then, Sony has been pretty much number one all the time. So for like one console generation, I think PS3,
Well,
but
yeah, I mean, Sony's always been on. I mean, even when you look outside what Sony does outside the gaming industry, and you look at, wasn't it the Blu-ray, the technology they developed with like Blu-ray and all of these
Yeah.
other things. And because I remember there was the big thing, was it DVD versus Betamax or something?
Yeah.
There was all these
There's
different
VHS, Video Home Service versus
But yeah,
Betamax.
they got the DVD that defeated the
The
another
HD.
media that was going around.
It was the HD Blu-ray versus the.
Oh yeah, Microsoft had the they had an
But-
add-on for the Xbox that you could get.
They got the
Yeah,
DVD
yeah.
and the PS2 that
man,
got
I
the
remember
DVD
that.
going around because it was the cheapest DVD on the market. If you
Yeah.
wanted the DVD reader, it was close to $1,000, and the
Yeah.
PS4 was
Yeah.
like $300-400.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Yep.
PlayStation
then
3
you had,
came
like-
out with Blu-ray, and the same thing happened.
Yep, and it was like an all-in-one system, and it just took
Right.
on the. It was like you want a Blu-ray and video games, boom, you've got it. That like, and it was, and and like I said, like you said, with like everybody's been saying with PS Now, like what that would be the game changer is by being able to get like a same-day release on PS5 that's also available in the cloud.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that that hasn't crossed the minds of whoever runs the PS Now stuff.
Right.
There was actually another article. It's JD that found it at the same time. It's almost looks like from the same interview, but through another site that they're talking about Game Pass.
Yeah, there was too much stuff going on from PlayStation. We were all pulling up information.
Right. Like, what are
Anyway,
they doing? What are they
There-
doing?
He was basically asked about Game Pass, if they're trying to think about something to match with that, and he pretty much answered, "Yeah, we got PlayStation Now, and something big is coming there in the future." So they're working on it. It's gonna get big. So
Yeah.
just moving on with the news here. Something else that happened that's pretty big: Evo purchased by PlayStation. What do you guys
Man,
think of that?
Ooh, such a huge move for fighting fans and sports fans. I mean, fighting
Yeah.
fans, like, and the online gaming in general, because PlayStation has been doing these Mortal Kombat 11 tournaments on their on Twitch and on the PlayStation communities, which they
Well, and
stopped.
it's been live. It's not only on Twitch, but it's also apparently it's on there. When they go, they've been doing, like you said, Mortal Kombat. It's been on the YouTube, on their PlayStation YouTube channel. So they're getting it everywhere. But like that was when I saw that, I was just like, because you think about it, that's online gaming and a worldwide thing. What better way than to potentially tie that in with cloud gaming? Because like
Mhm.
Mortal Kombat 11 is on
Yeah.
PS Now, so you could sign up for that, and you don't even need a console to. If you're good. Like I would never do that because
Right.
I wouldn't even make it past the. I would get cut immediately. But that's a huge thing, is to be able to literally play wherever you are and not even have a console, and you can still join in on something like that if you were that good.
And it
Right.
makes it much easier. All right, go ahead, JD.
No, I was just saying, with especially with Street Fighter V being one of the games in that tournament, and Sony and Capcom has been, pretty much Sony's been funding Capcom games and stuff like that. So that's another tie-in for them. Maybe they get Street Fighter 6 exclusive again. Like that's a huge move.
And in the cloud, it's much easier to manage on one time the cheaters, and also anyone with unstable connection, you can screen that out in the cloud quite easily. You test the connection. If the connection is good enough, then the game is actually like connected in the LAN, so it's direct connection. And you just need to be able to keep the connection to see the defeat of the game. And if there's latency on one side, there's ways of just matching the latency on the other side, so everyone's playing on the same level, which is much harder to control if everyone is playing on consoles. So it's bringing a lot of interesting opportunities, especially towards cloud gaming.
And Anthony said in the chat, he said, I would love to see Sony make a big move, because I only look at Sony as the popular console, but that's it. To me, Microsoft is stealing the show with Game Pass. Shots
Remains
fired.
to be seen. It remains to be seen. Game Pass is big right now, but we're still early in that
Yeah,
race.
but you have to download stuff. Like that's I don't care for that. I don't want to download the games to play them. I get it. XCloud Game Pass. They all have great content and stuff. but I don't want to download everything. Like that's one of the things that's another thing that drew me to PS Now, especially on, I have a PS4 Pro. I haven't tested it on there, but I do use it a lot on. I use it all the time on the computer, and it's great when I don't have to download anything. And the latencies are Game Pass for PC. I still have to download everything. What's the point of that?
Right. And then, like you said earlier, with Game Pass, right? Like how you can't download it on the Xbox. Well, with PlayStation Now, if you have shoddy internet, you can download those games on your PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5.
Yeah, if you want, I mean, if for those that want to, and right now that gives you a ton of games on a PS5, because we all know there's a limited selection of games on PS5 for the current ones, but you do get extra stuff when you have all of those things. And I don't know how that works with backwards compatibility, but PS Now is basically your backwards compatibility feature.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It goes back to PS2 at the moment, and it ties into the next news that we got. The website The Gamer actually got a leak from someone that Sony is dropping support for the PlayStation Network on the PlayStation 3, Vita, and PSP stores. So that, in my opinion, I might be wrong, but that screamed cloud gaming coming. Because that is literally content people purchase, they paid for on aging networks. Because you have to think about the fact that if you have a PlayStation 3, Vita, or PSP, you have a certain network standard for it, that the protocols basically that they have to keep online for them to access them. And if you try I remember when I was playing on PlayStation 3, anytime I'd go on the PlayStation store, sometimes I'd have to shut it down and go back in because it was crashing and it was very slow, both for downloading and navigating the store. You'd open the tab, it would take over a minute for even your stuff to pop on and load. So by shutting this down, you're removing those aging systems of the equation. Then you can still provide access to those purchases in the cloud. So I'm not sure. That source is saying that it will be during the summer, I think around July for PS3 and PSP, and August for PS Vita. So that might actually point to where they might actually add the support for game purchases in the cloud for PlayStation.
Yeah, and every single one of those platforms is a viewport for PS Now. So there's, as I've got a Vita, and my PS3 is being looked after by my brother, but I know that with very little effort I could get PS Now to work on any of those and play the latest games on those creaking old bits of hardware. So that has to be where Sony's head is. Why do we keep offering? Nobody's developing for it anymore. The audience is dwindling. I mean, I doubt anybody that was born in the 90s has even seen a Vita. So it's so why not just say, you know what, you can access PS Now. You've got PS2 games, you've got PS3 games, and so you can still play those if you want to.
It'll allow people to play games like Crisis Core on the PSP on their cell phone if they have mobile support.
Yeah, right.
It'll revitalize a lot of games if they actually manage that properly.
Yeah.
Parasite Eve.
And Anthony did say, but to be fair, PS Now isn't competition for Stadia and Game Pass because PS Now aren't getting any new games right now, as we know. Moment. But remember, nobody knows what Sony's doing with PS Now because they, like we all said, they don't say much. Roger said Game Pass Cloud, I'd be all in. No, not xCloud beta. And then Anthony had to say, I would compare PS Now to Luna. And Ray said he's still playing MLB 2007 on his PSP.
But PS Now has many more games than Luna, though.
Yeah.
And much better games.
Yeah, about 650 more.
Yeah. And they got Call of Duty, so there you go.
Yes, exactly.
Call of Duty in the cloud.
That's the big. Well, and they've got multiplayer. That's the other cool thing. Like, I mean, how cool is that you can sit and, like, you guys were playing Virtua Fighter 2. That is the coolest thing. Ludovision did say, though, why is PS Now on Windows but not on Mac OS? And I honestly don't know the answer.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming to Mac OS.
Yeah, it'll come for sure.
I thought it was on there at one point, but maybe I was.
Yeah, no. If you go hunting it down, they say there. releasing it this year.
This year?
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Good to
Yeah.
see. I didn't
Oh,
know that.
so hold on. Anthony said, but you can't back up Sony based off what you think may come. And the Call of Duty game is very old. But you got to realize the top 5 selling consoles of all time in the top 5 is 2 of them are PlayStation consoles,
Hmm.
and the other 3 are Nintendo. And based on historical data, PlayStation will always, they're going to have something coming, like we've been saying, like just based off of a little bit of history, knowing the history
Well,
between them.
and to go off of what he said, you can't back up what Sony based off of what you think may come. I could say the same thing about Microsoft. How am I to really believe that just because they're going to bring a web-based version or a Windows 10 PC app of xCloud, it's not going to have the same latency issues that the Android app is currently riddled with? I don't know. I can't. I go off of what I see. So
Or
it's the same. It's the same thing.
over Stadia. Oh, we got 200 games, coming, within the next 2 years.
Yeah,
But what are
exactly.
those?
They all can say the same thing. Everybody can say that.
Yeah.
And until they prove it, exactly. This is what the news is. We speculate what's going to happen based off of articles that we can find.
What I think you can absolutely guarantee is if it wasn't for Microsoft, Xbox, and xCloud, and if it wasn't for Stadia, then Sony may still have a 720p PS Now hidden away somewhere in the in their device. The fact that those guys are existing and are working hard to integrate those services into what they do, or in the case of Stadia, are working hard to forge the highest quality cloud gaming experience, means that Sony have to compete. And so
Yeah.
you don't need to speculate to stay at the top of their tree. They can't simply do what they've always done and expect to get the same results. So they have to be doing stuff. They've got to be working on it being at least as good as what their competitors are doing. Otherwise, we've seen it already. It's so simple to say Outriders is coming to Game Pass Ultimate for free on Wednesday or Thursday of this coming week. Heck, I'm going to switch to an Xbox. So they've got to be staying ahead of the crowd with innovation. Otherwise, they lose their current position. So that's why it's easy to speculate. It's easy to speculate because that's what these guys do. They innovate. They're in the tech field. They never ever win by being yesterday's guy.
Exactly. Well, that's what I've always said. Like, if one, and I've said this, I've stressed this a ton of times during all of my shows when I'm doing Stadia, is if one fails, they all fail. It doesn't matter who it is. If it's Stadia, if it's Luna, if it's xCloud, if it's PS Now, if one of them fails, they're all going to fail because they all competition. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You thrive all. If one is doing good, we all know that everybody copies innovative features. I mean, look at cell phones. Google and Samsung and Apple, they all copy similar features. It's no different in the gaming industry with Xbox and PlayStation and then the cloud gaming. It's all the same. But I like I said, it boils down to this. I'm a gamer. I love gaming. I love cloud stuff. I don't want to see anybody fail, but I mean, I get the ideas from everybody, and and I take it as I see it. But I don't think that Sony is blind when it comes to the competition with xCloud and Stadia and all of these. I think they know what there's a method to their madness, and we just don't. We're not privileged to see what exactly is going on behind the scenes.
I just wanted to thank Charles Around for subscribing to the channel, by the way. Shout out.
Thank you.
Woo!
Woo, woo.
So,
and I did see Ludovision real quick said, do you think that Sony would rebuild their browser to be Linux based so that gamers can get GeForce Now, Stadia, etc. on PS consoles? And then he rephrased it to Chromium based, like what Microsoft did.
I think it would be logical.
I don't know if they've ever have they even updated the browser?
It's not even browser based. It is still an app on the PC at the moment.
Yeah, it's an app. Yeah.
In my opinion,
I think he was I think he was talking more consoles with the integrated browser that the PlayStation consoles have, and I'm just like, I don't know if they would ever
on browser anymore, like the PS4 does. so you can't web search on PS5.
Okay, there's
Yeah,
no
not
browser
every-
on PS5.
No, not like natively like the PS4, where it's like there is a browser, but it's not accessible.
So kind of like Nintendo, like the Switch has a browser but you can't. You have to do a lot of work to access it.
Yeah.
Not everybody can be cool like the Sega Dreamcast with their browser.
Right.
Yeah, I need to get my hands on a PlayStation 5 as soon as possible so I can comment on this. It's a work in progress. I'm
I
looking.
know
in
we're
the
not
queue,
we're
my
not we're
friend,
not in
get
that
in the
elite
queue.
class that Rokk and JD are in.
Yeah.
Those PS5 owners.
Canada restock are super rare, so
Oh man.
Somebody was saying earlier on Twitter that you can get them with air miles or something.
yes, 10,000 air miles, and you got like the big package. You got the camera, the headphone, another controller, the
These are the times we're in today,
controller
folks.
charger.
Yeah,
Got it.
10,000 air miles.
Got to fly in the clouds, man. Play in the clouds.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Oh
So-
man.
Moving on to another news that a vet here found, Aaron.
Woo.
I actually saw that leak out a few months ago because there's 2 dates on there. When they applied for it, I saw the leak, and now he just got it as it's been officially published. Sony is applying for trophy support to come to games that were coming previously to the trophy being created. So that means PlayStation 1 and 2 games and PSP games also, I think, don't have trophies right now. So they just applied, published the patent for that to be approved. And if you look at the text, why I find this so interesting is that it's for a game is emulated in response to a request from a client device. So they're talking about emulation. So, and we don't see any mention of the consoles like PlayStation and all that. So it could run in an emulator, possibly in the cloud, and give you trophies for games. That is extremely interesting. So that means like your Final Fantasy VII you're playing PS1 and all that could finally get trophies.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge for cloud gaming in general, especially that people that just want to trophy hunters and all that. Like that's going to be a game changer.
If I can get some trophies for SmackDown, here comes the old SmackDown games from the PlayStation era 1. I'll be happy.
NHL 98 or 97,
Yeah,
the old classics.
NFL Game Day.
Yep.
I can't wait to see when there's an EVO tournament and these guys are battling against each other. All of a sudden, it pings up that you've won an achievement and completely blocks out their screen. It's like, what the hell?
Time out, guys. Time out. We got Sony, you done messed up the tournament.
And also just close on the news
one
here.
of the things I was really hoping that they were going to perfect with the PS5 was that all those on-screen messages would give you the ability to make the background transparent, because there's nothing worse that they take up a huge chunk of the screen. You know, it's like, well, right in the middle of a game, and then someone's like, "Oh, JD's online. Yeah, great. I'm trying to play Horizon."
At least with PS Now, like I've played a few of the games. Most of them are the ones that have the trophy ability. But it's it's just a little tiny block up in the square that says I unlocked something or I completed a mission, something, and I get those every now and then. So at least that isn't where it's like taking up my entire screen, and I'm just like, all right, guys, I got to pause for a minute because I got to wait for this thing to go.
Yeah.
Or it goes while the game is still running, and then I just die.
Oh man.
Yeah. I just want to close the news portion here with this bit of news. I think it's JD, you found that? Sony Interactive Entertainment announced new engineering and finance leadership. It's all very complicated to read, but I went through it, and what I'm taking away from that is they got the R&D department for the PlayStation Network that is now answering directly to Jim Ryan and not to the PlayStation platform like R&D divisions. So they're now
Yep.
independent. So leads me to believe that the PlayStation Network and everything surrounding it will be its own thing from now on. So
Yeah, yeah, that's what it's basically saying that hey, he's gonna take control of the whole PlayStation Network, PlayStation Now, anything that's cloud internet related. They're gonna like kind of we're speculating again that they're gonna fold like all of these things into one big network, and you're gonna have this one just rebrand of everything PlayStation all across the board. Very easy, very simple to access. I don't know if we talked about the TV shows and movies yet, but that could be part of that. The
Yeah, I
PlayStation
don't think we
Plus.
covered. I don't know if we covered that. I know they were. That was another one that was brought up that I remember reading about was that the entertainment side of things from the store is getting closed
yeah,
because they realize that people
Yeah.
just aren't accessing it on the consoles anymore. You're not just going to watch. You're not searching for like movies and things like that. A lot of it is all the streaming apps nowadays, which makes sense. But how cool would it be that if they integrated that side of things also into PlayStation Now, because that sets you apart as well. Not only do we have access to games in the cloud, now you can watch movies and you can rent or
Oh,
whatever
wow.
with movies, TV shows. That would be a big thing.
Mm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't know if that would. I don't know if they. I can't imagine that they haven't thought about that. But I don't. Do I know if that would happen? I don't know. But I think that would really set PlayStation Now apart from the others.
Well, because they're still a massive IP owner of content. They've still
Well,
got
Yeah.
obviously Sony
yeah,
Studios and so on.
there's a lot
yeah,
happening
Yep.
in terms of movie. There's the Uncharted movie being done right
Yeah.
now with Tom Holland and
yeah,
Mark Wahlberg, who's part of the
yeah,
cast. And they
yep,
just announced the Ghost of Tsushima movie right
Oh,
after
yep,
it
Yeah.
got a big accolade for, I think it's the BAFTA, that it
yep,
won a bunch of prizes. That is
yep,
one game I wouldn't actually be surprised to see coming on PlayStation Now next month with all the love that it's getting.
yeah.
yeah.
Everyone who wanted to buy the game already bought it because it's been out like
Yeah,
last
I've
year,
got it.
a while
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah, yeah,
So seeing everything happening and with the new promotion, by the way, PlayStation Now, if you haven't tried it, it's now available for the first month at $1.
yep,
So it looks like they might be trying to do a push for the platform. So I would find it very logical to just bring Ghost of Tsushima on there, and seeing the amount of press the game is seeing with the prizes that it won and the movie that's just been announced with the
Mm.
producer behind John Wick.
yeah.
So that is looking very
Yeah.
interesting.
I think a big strategy, and I'm just kind of reading between the lines here, is that they changed their whole studio titles to PlayStation Studios, all their first party content, right? You see it looks like the Marvel joint, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And just imagine, if you will, all of their IPs get TV shows, movies,
Oh, wow.
comics, and then you move them on to the video games, and then you move them onto the cloud. You can watch. They did the Ratchet and Clank movie for the PS4 release. So imagine you go and play Ratchet and Clank on your PlayStation 5. Go watch the movie on the PlayStation Network,
Well,
I'd
and
see
all
it.
these
and
things.
I'd see.
and
Yeah.
look at like they got like PlayStation Now. We all know with the catalog of games, all of the Lego stuff. They have the Lego movie thing and
Yeah.
family friendly games like Disney stuff. Imagine accessing stuff like that. I mean, you can't tell me that Sony's not thinking ahead. This is another thing, thinking ahead, like you guys said. We talked about earlier. It's they're thinking in the future, and this would be really something to really stand out.
I
Which
think what I think what they have to do, and I hope they do this. I've not seen anywhere that they're thinking of it, but I think they need to do this. Is they need to merge PS Plus and PS Now. I think the fact that they're two separate brands is a problem, because you've got to subscribe in two different places, and for most people, $60, $70 for each of those per year is a big investment. I think if they're going to
yeah.
compete with Game Pass Ultimate, they've got to pull the whole lot together. So you essentially you pay say $100 a year for PS, whatever way it's going to be called, plus Pro
Yeah.
or something, and you get access to everything. And that includes even access to some of those Sony titles, some of those movies. There's a great game on Xbox that came out back in 2016 called Quantum Break, which is a really, really good game. And the game actually has an accompanying TV series which you unlock in the game. So you know, as you go through a chapter in the game, you then play a half an hour, 40 minutes of the TV series, which gives you some additional storyline around the game. For me, I mean, you know, nothing really went on from there because you're talking now, what, 5, 6 years ago. But I'd love to see them exploring different ways of pulling in different media to play, and they can do that. They own some amazing IPs.
Yeah, and maybe them, you know, this talk of them potentially incorporating like the movies and entertainment stuff into PlayStation, into the cloud. Maybe that's the ultimate thing. Maybe they don't rebrand, they don't join PS Now and PS Plus until they're ready to bring in to just jumble it all together, and then you have PS Now, PS Plus as one. And you get games, so you get all of it. You get the games, the movies, TV shows, everything all in one.
They kind of doing that with Spider-Man already, testing that with the Spider-Man game. Like they got the Spider-Verse suit in the Spider-Man movie and the Spider-Man. Say, hey, I'm gonna watch that movie on the Sony network. Like they're just like creating this ecosystem.
They're sprinkling little hints here and there throughout things. And it's exactly it's like the Easter egg things that they do with all the Marvel movies. So they're Sony's doing the same thing, just dropping little hints here and there all over the place, and said, "Here, you want to figure things out? Search for it, do it yourself." But you're gonna have a hard time trying to figure this method out.
Right, even with PlayStation VR too, they got the Spider-Man Homecoming VR experience. They got the Iron Man VR experience. So you just think about tie-ins and the way these things can go. Like you said, man, it'll be crazy how that will all come together.
It's a lot of interesting stuff going on. That they've been planning this for a while, we can see, and now they're making a big turn with cloud gaming coming. I'm really eager to. I just want Sony to announce the support for the game purchases, because I know, right? In the meantime, I'm still going to be shopping around for my PlayStation 5.
It almost makes sense to do that, like, because I think once more people have the digital consoles, it makes more sense to have that ability. Because I'm wondering, is that what, or are they waiting to see if Microsoft's going to do that as well? Because Xbox, the new ones, don't they have a digital only console also?
Yes.
So when xCloud goes live, I can't imagine that Microsoft's not gonna incorporate that for those that have that, because then you can still buy games, you can still get stuff on your system, and I can't imagine that Sony's not going to do the same thing and give you that ability.
And going back to the PlayStation 1, Sony has so much content, like it's crazy.
Oh my god, yeah.
So right now, PlayStation Now is like over 600 games or 800 games.
It's 700 to 800.
Yeah, 700 to 800.
That's just a fragment of the whole catalog of games Sony has. They can bring so much more.
Well,
and they don't even have all of it. And you think like PlayStation 1, then you add in PlayStation 2, PS3. If you add in, PSP, they could just Vita. Be like Vita, PSP. If you added more of the PS4 games in there, and then you start bringing in PS5 stuff, exclusives, like they could just dominate. Like I don't even know if there would be enough time to. They might be the first cloud company that has a search bar. We might finally see a search bar on a cloud gaming service.
Blasphemy, sir.
I know, right?
But the offer is so big.
Google, like I still love you guys.
If they launched that, like the amount of people that would have already hundreds of games. Like a lot of people who've been sticking around PlayStation for a while, they've been doing digital purchases here and there. You start day one when they launch the cloud system with already a catalog of hundreds of games. Now that compels you to play on there, and the new games that are coming out, well, might as well add on to my already huge existing library of games.
Well, and digital games, what if they do the next step is by not only, for the ones that have the digital consoles, you've already bought all these digital games. What if the next evolution to that is when they roll out PS Now service or whatever it's going to transition to, but you can access all those games already directly in the service, and then you can continue buying your games. They give you an option. Do you want to download it or play it in the cloud?
Yeah,
because I know Microsoft has talked about potentially doing that at some point as well with xCloud. That was their kind of ulterior motive type thing, and but I could see Sony implementing that because it would make perfect sense. Now you've opened up this giant catalog, because if you open the back catalog for everybody that's bought digital games, and you've already incorporated PS1, 2, 3, for those that had a PS3, and I bought digital games from the PS1 era and the 2. Now I can access everything. Like I don't even know where I would go at that point. I'd be lost. With the amount of stuff that I could choose from at that point.
You could very easily play Miles Morales on your PlayStation 5 installed on the console. Then you're going around, you take your cell phone out like you're at work and you got a break.
Exactly.
Just break your phone out, connect, and play in the cloud.
Or if you just want to act like you're working, just still just be sitting there playing. Just,
in the browser.
As the boss ain't coming, you play your game. Or minimize the browser.
I don't think there's any doubt that this current generation of consoles will be the last. I mean, we were saying that before they even launched. And I think it's clear the fact that both parties brought out diskless machines that are basically, the only way you play anything is by connection to the internet. So, it's obvious the hardware is no longer relevant, because you can just run those things in the cloud and you can play them on a dumb terminal. Even the lowest priced phone that you can pick up, a burner, you can now play PS5 quality games. So that's where the future will be. I'm not saying it's next year. I think it's over the next 10 years for both parties, but that's absolutely where they're looking. Why invest so much money? These are loss leaders. The boxes they push out there are loss leaders. There's no profit in those things. They're a logistical nightmare, as we've seen with COVID and distribution this past year. So there's no question the future for both of them is digital and almost certainly cloud. And I think Sony are going to get there sooner, because at this moment in time, Microsoft they're kind of prefixed on pulling the Game Pass Ultimate thing together. Buying big studios, they're trying to have a leapfrog.
Well, and Roger said in the chat, maybe Sony took offense when Phil Spencer name dropped Amazon and Google as their future competition, and then said, we know what Sony did when Nintendo betrayed them with the PlayStation.
Sony is a petty company, for real.
He said, and he also said, "Is Sony PlayStation the true lion of the Serengeti?"
You don't want to mess with those Japanese. They've got long memories and longer swords.
They have a lot of resources to counter that.
Yeah. Only Sony doesn't let the news go circulate too long without them being mentioned, for real.
Yeah.
But
no, because all these articles just popped up out of nowhere,
right?
Like within a week, and
that's because they knew you got to show.
It was just, exactly.
There was something else that popped in my head just now. That the investment we saw that they did in Ubitus, they are apparently dealing with Microsoft Azure for their cloud service over here in America. But I'm wondering if they wouldn't be interested, especially with that financial call that just happened lately. They wouldn't be interested in maybe buying the Shadow PC cloud servers that just went up for sale, that to complement Microsoft Azure service, so they could actually use both and provide a better service for PlayStation Now. Ubisoft is not obligated to only work with Azure. They can actually buy their own servers and complement. So that might be a very interesting direction it could take.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting key with everybody, whether it's Sony, Xbox, Google, but it definitely is going to be interesting to see what happens with that whole Shadow thing, because I used to use the service, but I mean, and it worked. It was one of those that you could pop on. It was just like Stadia, where you could hop on anything and play but it was more than just gaming. That was literally just a straight up computer in the cloud. So it will definitely be interesting to see who borrows that.
I put my order in a month ago for Shadow just before they announced this news.
Oh,
And literally, it now says availability. It'll be available January 2022.
oh,
Wow. But I've got a feeling Shadow, what was going on for a while, they were trying to build a business and they might have seen, because it was too expensive for what it was for cloud gaming, but not expensive enough for an actual PC you can use.
Right.
And it was
Yeah.
not viable because of that. They only had the only way of making money is making more subscription, but then they have to continuously upgrade their blades and all
Well,
that.
I will say that the company at least in the United States that made out like a bandit when it came to using shadow service was the internet companies, because we all know in the US there's these stupid things called data caps, and I for one burned through a 6 terabyte data cap using shadow full time. So
But I'm wondering if the guy at the head of Shadow didn't actually see this coming, and just ended up getting more and more subscribers to build up more material, more cloud servers to eventually do a sale. Seeing as cloud gaming and just cloud in general is just growing, so try to build an infrastructure that would be really attractive for all those companies.
Maybe, except for the fact that they filed for bankruptcy. So,
Did they?
you know, they've gone for chapter whatever it is. So you kind of, that's not really a great business move if you're looking to.
I
sell
thought they
out.
didn't file for bankruptcy, but they said that it was a financial problem. So
I think you're more likely to see someone like Tencent make a move in there. Somebody who isn't already invested at that level. I mean, they have been buying into everything and anything. And their big issue is they're Chinese. And right now, the world's turning against China. You know, largely thanks to the previous president. So,
but Tencent has been investing in Ubitus.
Sorry, say again.
Tencent is one of the parties that invested in Ubitus along with Sony.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So
Well,
that could actually be their foot in America. It might be through Ubitus.
Well, this is what they have to do. This is my whole point. And you know, in order for them not to just be switched off like Huawei were with 5G, they need to be everywhere. So they're buying in at every level into anything that has any remote interest in cloud. So Shadow would be and it's massive in the States. So it's got a good footprint in the States. So I could absolutely see them also being one of the suitors for Shadow. I'm not sure about Sony. I have to be honest. They've not shown any interest so far in getting involved in infrastructure. They've been quite happy to use third party like Azure. And I don't know that it's in their interest, to be fair. You know, at the end of the day, it's based on PCs. So, you know, I can't see it, but I could absolutely see someone like Tencent looking at using that infrastructure.
Who knows? Maybe Tesla will buy them out.
There's something interesting I'd like to see. Tencent actually just deposited a patent for a handheld console for gaming, which is based on Windows 10. That's something I'm really eager to see if they'll deliver any news. But it's actually running Windows 10 in it, which means that PlayStation Now should work on this in its current state. So,
true.
So if they deliver that product, it
Codex
looks like...
Gaming is in the building.
Hey, Codex, how you doing, man?
Hey,
I just happened to see his name pop up there.
But yeah, it's got an HDMI output. It's got a lot of stuff on it, and that was.
It looks vaguely familiar to the. Is that the one that looks very familiar? Like it looks like a Switch.
Yeah, almost like a Switch or a PlayStation Vita. Exactly.
There's kind of a limit to what you can do design-wise, isn't there? It's kind of have two thumbs and a D-pad and some buttons. I mean, what else can you do with it?
It's a screen with controls on the side.
A lot of people said it. A lot of people said it. That looks like the Switch. I was like, well, you could say the Switch. I mean, you could go with the PSP. Any of those handhelds.
Absolutely.
To me, it looks a lot like.
I mean, where did Nintendo get the idea for the Switch? Probably from Sony off the PSP. They said, "Well, you got the PlayStation, so we're gonna
where did the PSP come from? Probably the Sega Game Gear.
Game Gear, the Game Boy. Yeah, it's like
Sega started it all, man. And then with VR, Nintendo had it with VR. They started they're the grandfather of VR.
Virtual
Gotta
Boy.
see-
Virtual Boy.
See red. We got to see red, baby.
2 seconds, guys.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah, lots of
Yeah.
interesting stuff going on in the world of Sony, PlayStation, and also cloud gaming. Some big news that are
Yeah,
dropping.
there's been news all over the place this last week, everywhere.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. We started this channel. It's like, yeah, we should do it, but we'll have to look a lot for content. And you guys just kept delivering stuff the whole week.
They heard. They must. I swear they must have heard about us.
Yeah. They saw
All
us.
right, they heard, look, there's the first and only PlayStation channel, so let's give them some content. So
Let's give us some.
Well, Sony, if you're listening, we'd love to be officially associated with you as a channel platform.
Yeah.
if you want to donate some PlayStation 5s, we're all in for that as well.
Yeah.
We'll do
Need
some
some
reviews.
PS5.
For JD, I think he's already got one.
I need a review unit.
Yeah.
Codex did. So Codex Gaming, I see, he said Nintendo are the OG with the game and the watch. The precursor to every joypad made sense.
Yep. Those were the good stuff.
Oh man.
Yo, also, what's the the Game & Watch?
It's not
Oh, man, I remember
documentary on that. Huh? Go ahead.
Hey, they're even the precursor to Marvel because Nintendo is the inventor of Thanos's glove.
Mhm.
For anybody that remembers the Nintendo glove.
Yep. Was
I don't
it
know
the
how many-
Power Glove? or-
Yeah, the Power Glove or something. I may have just seriously aged myself knowing that one.
It was hyped so much in the movie The Wizard.
Oh my gosh. Ray, you know all about that.
Yeah, you've seen The Wizard.
Yeah. He threw it out the Power Glove.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost looks like Thanos. Infinity Stone Glove.
Codex Power Glove. It's so bad.
Right. Oh man,
What
that's
is
so
it? You
bad.
did some movement with the hands, and it did like the
used to have
direction,
that.
and you had the buttons
I
on
think
it.
so.
They had the buttons.
Yeah.
They had the buttons on top. Yeah, it was crazy.
I always said if Nintendo ever did cloud gaming, the first game they should market is that stupid Duck Hunt from the.
Oh,
Didn't they re-release it for the Wii or?
I think they did the Wii or the Wii. Yeah, one of them. And it was just as frustrating as I remember on Nintendo.
Punch Out was
Or
more
that
fun.
may be that could be the death of cloud gaming right off the bat. That could be the one game that kills it all.
Oh, snap.
That's so fun. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see where all of that is headed because it's a lot of news drop in a few days. And also we're about to know what the new games will be for month of April for PlayStation Now. Because contrary to PlayStation Plus, like we should be about to see what games will be in PlayStation Plus for next month.
They usually release them like a day or two early ahead of time.
Yep, but they don't announce anything for PlayStation Now. I think it just appears on the platform, so you log in and it's like recently added. So yeah, we should be getting those news fairly soon, like next week. So I'm crossing my fingers for Ghost of Tsushima, as I haven't played that game yet, and it looks so amazing. Even got a hoodie.
I love the games that have the storylines. Like I played, I started getting back into Metal Gear Solid 5. And I forgot I had that prior, but I forgot that was voiced with Kiefer Sutherland when he was, still popular, the 24 series. But I forgot how in detail and like I started the game and I was like, all right, folks, it's going to take us a few minutes, maybe 10, 20 minutes because of how long the opening, the longest part of the game is literally just getting you adjusted, figuring out how to move around and stuff. But the detail that those games used to put into the story and leading you up I forgot how good those were, and they would get you involved in it.
It's impressive that it's on PS4.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff that's in there.
Yeah, that's just one thing that Sony does good, man. They know how to get the most out of their consoles. they know how to develop games for real.
Like,
Well,
even if you-
and to be able to, I know like Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Yes, it is. We all know it's an older game, but it's the for those that keep griping, I just see Call of Duty in the cloud. PlayStation has it, and I've streamed it. And for a game that runs in the cloud at 1080p, and I can live stream it at the same quality, but with the amount of things that are going on with the gunfire and all of that, and it doesn't lag. There's no input delay. There's no latency. No issues whatsoever, and it runs like if you take away all the overlays, you would think I'm just streaming directly off my console. That is what the first game I tried out again when I came back to the service, and I was just dumbfounded at how well it ran. Like, I was amazed.
Mhm.
And it shows the
100%.
potential that Sony is definitely building here.
So one of the games that everybody says is coming out for April for PS Plus is Oddworld Soulstorm, which apparently was predicted back in February. And depending where you go, then you're into the land of speculation. Some say Far Cry 5, some say Uncharted. We'll see. But Oddworld, apparently there was a recent Oddworld PS Plus game as well, wasn't there? I seem to remember playing.
Possible.
Either way, they're bound to be good. They always are.
Yeah.
I keep giving an eye to the PlayStation 5 restocks in Canada.
Yeah.
I can get one of them.
You've got to get air miles out, Seb. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what you end up have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and for those, I know we had said something about the 1 month for the PlayStation Now is currently $1. That it's a 1 month subscription that's normally $10. It's on sale for $1 for your first month, but that does expire March 29th.
Yeah,
Get a lot of
jump
time.
on that.
So you got to get on that.
And then after that, the yearly subscription is extremely worth it. It's like $60 in the US.
Yeah, it's like
59. Yeah, $60 for a year. Which just by playing a few games, you're going to get your money's worth. I mean, I've showcased a bunch of games. I know Doctor's showcased a bunch, JD's showcased a bunch. And by being able to play multiplayer games with your friends and stuff that have that, or cross-platform games. I jumped in. Anthony, was doing what was it? Power Rangers on Stadia, and I played against him on PS Now. And you would not know. You couldn't tell the difference of what service unless we spoke up and said what service we were on. That's the only way you would know.
Yeah.
Cross-platform, it needs to happen more in the future. That is
yeah.
So anyway, I think we're gonna wrap this up for today. This was an excellent show, guys, except for once again my technical problems at the beginning. It'll get better with time. I'll get the gist of my setup for getting a panel on. So sorry again about this, but it has been amazing. Thank you very much, guys. Rokk, thank you very much for coming to this show.
Pleasure, my friend.
By the way, Rokk is the one who convinced me to give PlayStation Now another go because I had tried it before and it wasn't so great. And he actually told me like it's 1080p now and he approved it. So he's the one who made me come back to the PlayStation universe.
Nice.
Praise the Lord.
Way to go, Rokk.
So that's why I thought it was fitting for him to be our first guest. So thank you very much, Rokk, for
Rokk
showing me
is
the light.
So what we're saying, guys, is Rokk is the godfather of this station. He's the reason we have this station.
I'm just the godfather.
He's everywhere.
All this gamer out there.
He's the source.
He's
the source of every network out there.
Here we go.
And again, thank you very much,
So,
Stadia Vet.
Roger, just one last. Roger said he signed up for a month on March 19th. April 19th, he's signing up for a year as well now.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
Congrats. So, Rokk, you want to give us your information where people can reach you?
Yeah, thanks. So I'm at Stadia Rocks on Twitter. If you go to Rocks on YouTube, you'll find all my content.
It's also
on
in the
there.
description, the YouTube
Thank you
channel.
very much. Thank you. There's some news coming out this week, some new content, so keep your eyes peeled. I have a show on Tuesday for the Stadia Bash Network. and I have Rokk and Ray, and my brother Ray is in the chat. So we do our Thursday nights now. We have our little kick around with Stadia. But
we love Ray's praise.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part. Is before he even gets to talk, it's just the image of him hopping up.
Like, hey.
By the way, Ray will be our next guest on this show. Little announcement there.
Awesome.
So we're getting the pair on the show at different times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Laurel and Hardy, but keep us apart. That's
Right.
Well, we'll probably get both of you at the same time eventually. We'll have to see about that.
Yeah.
So thank you again very much for coming here.
Thank you.
And
Thanks for
Stadia
inviting
Vet,
me.
where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Stadia Vet Gaming, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Gaming, all under Stadia Vet Gaming. 5 days a week, 1 to 3 shows a day. That's the schedule. I don't actually have times, except the only time I am locked in is on Thursday or Fridays at 7 p.m. Central on the SBCN, the Stadia Bash Community Network. I will actually not be streaming at all next week. March 29th, Monday the 29th will be my last stream for the week because I'm having knee surgery at the VA hospital on Tuesday the 30th. So I will be out until I won't be back on for another show until April 5th.
Good luck with that, my friend.
Good luck.
He's going to be bionic. He's going to leap buildings in a single leap.
I told Ray I'm coming for the title of Cyborg.
He's a true
Cyborg. I'm the new gaming cyborg. Either that or I'm going for RoboCop. So one or the other. So I'll be done with that.
Or The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going.
Oh man.
And JD, where can people find you now getting back stronger and stronger every day?
Yo. Thank everybody for their prayers and well wishes for the surgery. It's been successful so far. And yeah, you can find me at Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Gaming, JD3MXP. Those are all my names. You can find me on Stadia, PlayStation, everywhere under that name. And then on Thursdays, I have the show, the Waypoint Gaming Podcast. Fridays is my only stream days with the Stadia Bash Community Network at 10 p.m. PST time. And then you can find me here next Wednesday. What is it? 7 or 8 p.m. next Wednesday?
I'll post something about this. We're gonna. We still have to finalize the timing and all that. So I have to confirm a few things, but yeah, we're changing the schedule to Wednesday evenings. So I'll put that on the Twitter channel for everyone to see, and I'll create the event here so you can all add it.
Go knock on the door. Mom's in there. She'll let you in.
Nice. And then Thursday, Outriders. I'll be streaming all day, so stay tuned.
Nice. Excellent. And I'm Dr. Spaceman. You can find me on Twitter, Dr. Spaceman Games. Here, this channel, CloudStationTV, and also have my own channel, Dr. Spaceman, on YouTube. And I'm also on Twitch, Dr. Spaceman Games. I've made Twitch affiliate not too long ago. So, thank you very much. So, we're going to come around, announce more stuff for the coming days with Ray coming with us on Wednesday. This should be another very interesting show. So, thank you very much, everyone in the chat for participating. So, this was Cloud Station TV. Thank you. Have a good one. Say goodbye.
Guys.
See you.
See ya.
See you guys.